Hello, everyone. Here we are for another Worth the Fight podcast, a daily dose about harmonizing addiction. If you would have asked me 5 years ago about the word harmonizing, I'd say, well, what is that? What does that mean? That was not in my lexicon. That was not a word that I would utilize daily, that I seem to be doing that and inviting that possibility that we can utilize microdosing and the aligned synergistic practices to harmonize our addictions or our imbalances. I'm going to share a few case studies of experiences that I've seen and what I'm seeing as a microdose mentor who's guided over 200 people through my magic and microdosing mentorship programs. And then I'm going to share some at the macro level as well, and just kind of break down how this process works so we can all go out towards this edge together with earnest hope and intention that this might help you, the listener, or if you're watching on YouTube, to harmonize an addiction. We all have them, and some are more maladaptive and more, problematic might be the best word. But I think that the principles are sound here. And again, I'm just inviting possibility of what I've seen, how this works. Let's dive in with a former client, Terry. He was an engineer from Wisconsin, and he'd been struggling with alcohol nearly his whole life. And he actually used the M word, miracle. It was a miracle that his cravings had dissipated after only a few doses of psilocybin. And he had channeled all of his energy into his meditation practice. He was a very spiritual man who had a meditation practice before, and he had that earnestness and that spirit of, I get to do this. And he was into Joe Dispenza. A lot of my clients come to me and they're into kind of the quantum field and Joe Dispenza. I think that's great. It's very, very aligned with microdosing. While Joe Dispenza doesn't talk about microdosing or macrodosing, his principles are super, super aligned. And I know that he did have a little bit of this is a little bit of a digression, but he did have a near-death experience, and that catalyzed his journey and his incredible work. So again, back to Terry, struggling with alcohol, and in as little as a few doses, he was able to, his cravings they subsided, and he tried everything, and this allowed him to be more present with his wife, more in his body, and again, he filled that void that he was numbing with alcohol with meditating. So it was a much from a maladaptive practice to a very adaptive practice, and he got really into understanding consciousness and meditation. It was a beautiful thing to witness, very, very powerful to be a part of his process. Ethan is another client who was struggling with cannabis. He had cannabis is a little bit tricky because it's a medicine that, in anything that shifts our state of mind, there's a dose where it's a medicine and there's a dose where it's a poison. And that plant maybe was adaptive for some time, but there comes a time, and it happens often. It's a big pain point. People are coming to me, and they have a bad relationship to the plant, and it's turned on them, and they're addicted, and they're not getting the same benefits that they had at one point. And I've seen it time and time again. And microdosing psilocybin and or LSD can help. Psilocybin more so, I think, for addiction than LSD. Although that's just because I haven't been working with LSD as long as psilocybin. I have seen firsthand psilocybin break up addictions, and that was the case with Ethan, who was struggling with anxiety. He was struggling with his cannabis use disorder, and it helped him quit. He just quit and just kind of had the realization. They call it the psychedelic duh moment, where we're just like, hey, this is not good for me. I don't like where this is going. I value my lungs. I value my health, and I don't want to participate in this anymore. So he hasn't. And maybe he has smoked a little bit here and there, but I'm not necessarily really rigid about or dogmatic about sobriety. And being from Wisconsin, I grew up drinking 20 to 30 drinks per week, and I know when I started using psychedelics that 90% of my usage has gone. I just don't do it anymore. In my 30s, I was drinking. In 20s and 30s, I was drinking a lot, 20 to 30 drinks, sometimes more. And now, I'm 46 years old, and I have one, maybe two glasses of wine per week. And there's times where I'll go months without having any, and I don't really miss it. I feel really good. I love my exercise. I love my sleep. Alcohol taxes my sleep, and it disrupts the architecture, the deep and the REM sleep, the good stuff, where the neuroplasticity is happening, like we've talked about ad nauseum here on this channel. So be very mindful if we're consuming alcohol. But Ethan's journey was very inspiring to see that, and to see how he could harmonize his imbalance, and how that helped him get to a better path, a more adaptive path, that going from addiction and anxiety and resentment to ease, to flow, to confidence, to inner peace. Beautiful thing to see. From a macro level, this is a big problem in our culture. There's 100 million or anywhere between 50 billion and $100 billion we're spending a year on the addiction recovery complex. And I think that we've got it all wrong, and that psychedelics can help, microdosing can help. The aligned synergistic practices, utilizing the plasticity, deepening into our meditation, engaging the breath, journaling our thoughts bravely, utilizing that plasticity. I so often hear from my microdosing clients that they can struggle better, that they can do the hard thing, and they can lean into the discomfort and start to process and to work through some of the heavy energies, some of the past traumas. As Dr. Gabor Mate says, we can liberate the energy of trauma into the energy of life. Dr. Gabor Mate is an elder in our culture. He's a medical doctor from Canada, retired, but he wrote a book called The Myth of Normal, and he's shared a wonderful documentary called The Wisdom of Trauma. Highly, highly, highly recommended. You can find that at thewisdomoftrauma.com. And in it, our Dr. Mate is the expert on the intersection of addiction, plant medicines, and trauma. His assertion, and I agree, that nearly all dis-ease is a byproduct of unhealed trauma. And these addictions are coping strategies for unhealed trauma. They can at times be very problematic and bastardized proxies for love. We're not feeling the love, so we're reaching out, and we're feeling anything to fill that void, anything externally to fill that void, and then it works until it doesn't. And I think Dr. Huberman says that it's a progressive narrowing of pleasure, that until eventually the addiction gets us into a pickle, into a tough position. And I can say honestly, yeah, I might be addicted to coffee. I have 2 cups every day, but it's a better addiction than the addictions I've had in the past. And it's adaptive. It actually helps with my fitness. It helps with my strength and training. I do it in the morning, so maybe it's not even an addiction. It's just a habit. But we all have them, and I'm just, again, inviting possibility here that psilocybin, LSD, microdosing, and the macrodosing can help us get to the root, where we can free up that energy, lighten that load. And I think when we get to the root, then our impulses to numb or to soothe, they dissipate, because we're okay with the present moment. We're okay with the isness of sitting with everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I would love to hear your thoughts and impressions if you've had any experience with addiction, or utilizing microdosing or macrodosing to curb your addiction and to get to a better path. I think the more that we share this message out towards the edge, the more that we invite possibility for people that might be struggling. And I think that this is something that, again, can help anyone. And when we tie this to priming prosperity pathways, yes, when we have a more clear mind, and we're okay with the present moment, and we're connected to our breath, and we have inner peace, and we have the spaciousness from the practices, from our meditation practice and our breathing practice, and we're getting out in nature, and we're connecting to our intuition, and We're again pushing back against busy and we're slowing down. This is going to help us harmonize addiction and also to prime prosperity pathways where we have these eureka moments and ahas and these lightning bolt insights, these 10x, 100x, 1000x insights. And then we have the conviction to know that we can do whatever's necessary to make that happen and to move in that direction, even if it takes some time. Seeing is believing, and I think that these medicines can kind of open up our creative vision. And certainly on the high dose, they do. That's why set and setting is supremely important. But on the microdosing with the practices, I believe just the same. So if you are a high achiever that is looking to expand your impact, income, and inner peace, please reach out. I've got a call link in the description below. It's 2026. Let's storm this year with peace, clarity, momentum, and freedom for an epic 2026. Let's frickin' go. So much love to all of you. For more on the Worth the Fight mission and message of hope and healing, check out worththefightbook.org. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.